We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.
Good morning, and welcome to the Monday edition of my show. This is Robert Phoenix, the Monday Mashup. I apologize for being on the late side today, but I'm very engrossed in this latest piece by Dutch Synths, which came to me this morning on beforeitsnews.com, which I subscribe to, and it's a very troubling piece. Dutch has moved off of the HARP vector and is now dealing with FEMA camps. And so this came in today. It says, for the record, I said months ago that I did not believe that there was a real plan to round up American U.S. citizens and put us into FEMA camps. Being that I'm from the Show Me State of Missouri, I felt this claim required more proof than what was offered months/years ago. Now the tables have turned, and surely/sorely stand corrected. I surely/sorely stand corrected. The U.S. Congress has approved a bill which authorizes the military to be able to arrest citizens on U.S. soil. It was actually the Senate. Not only can they arrest us without cause, they can hold you indefinitely with no lawyer and no one knowing your location. They can do this through law that was passed by the military to take you to a secret prison without a trial. Also, this very same short days, we our corporation handles FEMA emergency camps, put out a call to staff these FEMA camps and to be ready on a 72-hour notice. Take these at two events together, same week. FEMA camps are being alerted to staff on notice and start people drop out. So that's a lovely thing to wake up you with on Monday morning, but it's clearly in our face, and it's out there. It's out there, and it's going to be very challenging. I think so. If we play this right, what's happening? I mean, if they decided to want to take people, it would have to be kind of a mass experience and happen very quickly. You'd have to have the complete and utter shutdown of the internet take place so nobody could communicate. There'd have to be some kind of event, I think, that precipitates some form of martial law. I mean, that's one scenario. The other scenario is just happens very quickly in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of missing people. Which does not sound that for me, to be honest with you. You could pull this off without having a quote-unquote revolution take place. A bloodless coup. I don't know. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of guns, and I think it would have to be a swift operation without any shots being fired, and I just don't think that would take place. So we're in a very precarious time. It's just the way it is. Whether this ever happens or not, it's extremely precarious. It's troubling, to say the least. And Obama has still not decided whether or not he wants to veto that bill. And so the only way he would veto that bill is if he could actually get more control. The challenge or the problem with the powers that be for SB 1867 is that even though they have made certain provisions to be able to capture and detain people, unfortunately, the people are still under the protection of the Geneva Convention, because now theoretically Americans can be prisoners of war. So their Geneva Convention mandate federal place. There's still a very thin layer of protection. Well, from what I understand, the Obama administration does not want those pledges by the veto the bill. Wouldn't veto the bill out of a sense of respect for liberty or freedom or any of those things. It would be solely for the attempt to rework the bill and make it even more draconian. So, we're in a precarious place, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't necessarily think it's going to happen just yet. Although, I think we need to see the holidays get played out here. And the only reason why I say that is because I think people are buying lots of shit. Even though the economy is in tatters, people will still purchase Christmas gifts. And they'll use their credit cards or they'll dip down into their unemployment checks. So there needs to be some kind of, pig feasting at the trough over the holidays. But after the holidays, I think it gets pretty sketchy. We've got a whole amalgam of planets from an astrological tip in January, actually late December, with the sun moving into Capricorn, Mercury moving into Capricorn. That would be in early to mid-January. We begin to trigger a T-square with Uranus and with Pluto, with the sun. So it would be T-square. It would be opposition. Still, it would be a square, not a T-square. My apologies. It's early here. So anyway, this is a potential reality that we're staring down, and not a pleasant one, especially not for somebody like yours truly, who has been out there front and center for a number of years now. And but that's the way it is. I don't think I would have ever altered my path in order to kind of dumb things down a little bit in my life. Let's see, what can we talk about today? Why don't we get into the news a little bit besides that creepy news? About that Tim Tebow, huh? Listen, there's something really interesting happening with Tim Tebow. I wrote about Tim Tebow on my site in October. I think it was the 17th of October when I put that post up. And Tebow was just about to be named the starter for the Denver Broncos. Well, so let's take a look at Tim Tebow for just a moment. That's a fascinating phenomenon. Tebow he's a Christian. He's an evangelical Southern Baptist Christian. So he's an anti-guy. All right. Even though that's what comes out in his message, that is the core nexus of Tebow's belief. He was in the Philippines he was in his mother's womb in the Philippines. And his mother went into a coma while Tebow was alive. And she was told to abort. She came out of the coma, and they felt like there was too much damage had been done to the fetus. So the doctors advised her to abort the fetus. It was a very weird case. Some strange children. And they decided to abort little Timmy. So they have him, and he's raised in basically a family of missionaries. What they are. And I wish their mission was a little better. I wish I could say, "Hey, great! You're turning people on to some wonderful philosophy that gets them beyond, hate and limitation and all that stuff. But what they were really doing is they were circumcising Filipino kids, Filipino boys. They were telling them about how circumcision was very important, and it's like, come on. So, circumcision is mind control. It is absolutely and utterly mind control, and it's mutilation as far as I'm concerned. So, look, I don't think that there's a great inverted fight on the ground that Tebow and his mom and dad can make around, circumcision, essentially marketing circumcision. I don't know. But circumcision aside, let's move forward. He goes to Florida. He winds up being homeschooled. And when I say homeschooled, it's not just schooling with his mother and father. It's schooling with other mothers and fathers in classroom settings. They take education into their own hands, and they want to make sure that their kids are not tainted by public school education and secular ideologies. Now, that's great, but Tim could not play football. So what he did is he and his mother petitioned high school in Florida so that he could play football. He played peewee football, but he wanted to play competitive football. So they took it to, their case went to the state, and they won. So he was able to play high school football. And I'm sure his high school football coach is absolutely and utterly grateful, because Tim Tebow led them to 2 straight state championships, and he was considered the best football prospect in the state of Florida. And when he decided to sign on to a college, he chose Florida State, so he stayed home. He's a homegrown product. And he led Florida to 2 national championships and a Heisman Trophy. So Tim Tebow is, he was, his accreditation as a football player goes unquestioned. But his ability to actually throw the ball and play quarterback at a level that most NFL quarterbacks have demonstrated has always been in doubt. He's had skeptics, he's had critics, he's had all these people say, he can't throw the ball. He'll never make it a pro. Do it tight end, no fullback, on and on and on and on and on, right? So the Denver Broncos drafted him. It was one, two, I think it was last year's rookies, about 2 years ago. The Denver Broncos drafted him. And people were saying, and they drafted him high. They drafted him in the first round. And people were incredulous. Why would Denver do this? Why would Denver do this? Wow, this is just insane. So he got on the bench. He played a few games at the end of the year last year. He actually did fairly well. But again, he had his critics. He had a new coach. They went with the quarterback that had played there last year, Kyle Orton. And Kyle Orton was terrible. And the Broncos were terrible. I watched them. They were terrible. And then they were playing San Diego back in October, and Orton was just stinking up the joint. They brought Tebow in at the second half, and guess what he did? He rallied the team. And John Fox, who's the coach, and it's interesting is that astrologically, Fox and Tebow are opposites. Tebow's a Leo, Fox is an Aquarius. But here we have the 2 signs working together really, really well. John Fox, Aquarians are unconventional. And if they can get over their fixed mindset, and Fox did not see a traditionally proficient, technically savvy, all that stuff, NFL quarterback. Didn't see it. But to his credit, he saw somebody who could win, and he very quickly changed the system to accommodate Tebow and not the other way around. So Tebow came out and he had a comeback in his first game in Miami, his home state. It was his first game as a starter. He won. Second game in Denver, they tried to get him to do way too much, and the Lions devoured him.